What's going on, you guys? How are you doing? Welcome back to the channel. I'm very excited about today's video because we are taking a look at my playoff prediction for this year's 2023 Stanley Cup. I'm really excited about this. I'm going to be going through and creating my bracket with you guys here today in this video. What I also plan on doing, maybe, as long as I'm able to see other people's brackets in this, is I would like to go and take a look at some of your guys' brackets. So if I'm able to do that and the website lets me, then I will do that in the next upcoming days. Otherwise, I may just make a post on Instagram asking you guys to send me photos of your bracket. And if that's what I have to do, go over and follow my Instagram in the link in the description so you guys can send me your bracket if you would like. Also, if you would like to join this hockey bracket, then the link will also be down in the top of the description. I made this post on my Instagram first, so a lot of people have joined. We got about 30 people here, but now I'm going to talk about it here on my YouTube for those of you guys who don't follow my Instagram. So I will have that linked in the top of the description. We got about 3 days to make this bracket, so go over, do so, join the hockey bracket. There may be a prize for the winner. I'm not 100% yet, but there may be some BW apparel being sent to some of you guys if you win. Of course, if you guys are new to the channel, it would mean a lot if you guys hit that subscribe button and like the video if you enjoyed. We're on that road to 2K, you guys. I'm hoping to hit that this year, only 500 more. And yeah, let's get into this. So I'm not going to waste any time, okay? My number one thing this playoffs was to not overthink picks. I'm just going to make my picks on who I think. I'll give you guys a brief description as to why I think this is going to happen, and then I'm just picking it. I'm just winging it and just going for it. As you guys know, I like to pick a couple upsets in the playoffs. It's something I did last year. I always think there's a couple, at least two upsets in the first round, so I pick one or two depending on the bracket. So you guys will see along here, I do have a couple upsets. You'll see when we get to it. And yeah, let's dive into this. We got the first round of the Colorado Avalanche and the Seattle Kraken. Now, I think this is going to be a really good series. I don't think Seattle's going to get just walked on in this. I think this team has a lot of depth. They got a lot of veterans. They got a lot of they just have all the pieces, in my opinion. I think they're a good team. They got a lot of veterans, a lot of young players as well. I think this team will give Colorado a run for their money. Colorado doesn't have Landeskog, but they showed towards the latter half of the season when he was out that they don't need him. They're still a really good team without him, and that just shows the depth Colorado has. And because of that, I am going to pick the Colorado Avalanche to beat Seattle in this series. Next up, we have probably one of my favorite matchups here in the West, and that's the Dallas Stars and the Minnesota Wild. I think this is going to be a bloodbath. This one's going to be a grueler. I really like both these teams. Just the build of them. Like, the teams themselves I don't love, but I love the build of both these teams. Minnesota, in my opinion, they have some firepower, but I think they just have that kind of grit to them, which Dallas maybe doesn't necessarily have. But Dallas has, I think, better depth all around. Like, I think their center depth is way better than Minnesota's. I also like Jake Ottinger a lot more than Marc-Andre Fleury. Not like overall, I like Fleury. Don't get me wrong, I like Fleury. But in this matchup, I just think Ottinger's better. He's just more ready for this. He's shown he can do it. Not that Fleury hasn't. I just have more faith in Jake Ottinger right now. And I think because of that, I'm picking the Dallas Stars. Next, we got the Winnipeg Jets and the Vegas Golden Knights. A cool matchup, actually. A lot of people seem to think, I've seen some people's brackets, they seem to think Vegas is just going to walk all over Winnipeg. I don't necessarily think that's the case. I think this is going to be a grueler of a series. I think Winnipeg's got some grit to them. They've been playing hard to try to get into the playoffs. I know they barely squeaked in, but they have been playing hard to do so. I think Connor Hellebuyck, like any team with a top 5 goalie on their team, can win games. Hellebuyck alone can steal them a few games in this series and keep them in it. I think offensively, they're pretty even, in my opinion. I think Vegas probably has the better defense. But goaltending, I give hugely to Winnipeg. And because of that alone, this is going to be my first upset of the playoffs, and I'm picking Winnipeg to beat Vegas. Next, we got a rematch between the Edmonton Oilers and the LA Kings. I think this is going to be a really good matchup. LA is one of those teams that when they get the lead, if they can get the lead, they lock it down. Like, they just play such good defense. My worry for sure is still their goaltending. I don't know if I have a ton of faith in Korpisalo. So, like, that's kind of still where, like, in my opinion, I have just as much faith in Jonathan Quick as I do in Korpisalo. So, like, that goalie trade they made, I get it. It may be better for them in the long run because Korpisalo is younger. But as of right now, I just don't have much more faith in him than I do in Jonathan Quick. So I don't think they really like upgraded in that sense. And I also think Skinner is better than Korpisalo. So I think Edmonton kind of has the advantage there. Edmonton has the advantage in defense, in my opinion, although Drew Doughty can definitely provide clearly. I still think Edmonton's better in that sense. And I mean, you got McDavid and Draisaitl. Like, I just think this team turns up in the playoffs. I think LA, sure, if they get a lead, they can lock it down, but I don't think they're going to have that many of them. I'm going to give this one to Edmonton. So now we're picking the games. Now, this one, the Colorado and Seattle, I think is going to go quite a while here. I think it's going to go 6 games. I'm torn between 6 or 7, but I'm going to pick 6 for this one. I don't know. Like, when I pick games like this, it's kind of just my gut feeling. That's what this whole playoff bracket's going to be. It's just my gut feeling. Dallas in Minnesota, I see this one going the distance, going to 7. Winnipeg and Vegas, I see this going to 7 as well. That's going to be a long, grueling series. And then Edmonton and LA, I actually see Edmonton winning that one in 5. I think this one's going to be the one quick series. I think this playoff year is just so tight in every single matchup that I don't think we're really going to see a lot of just teams just destroying the other team. But I do think Edmonton's going to win that one quite convincingly in 5. We move over to the East, and we start out with the Boston Bruins and Florida Panthers. And I think this one's actually going to be a closer series than you may think. Florida can definitely match Boston when it comes to firepower up front. Florida was one of the higher scoring teams in the season this year with Boston. I think where I'm scared is Florida's defense and their goaltending. Like, their defense doesn't even compare to Boston's, and their goaltending also doesn't. I know Lyon's been playing good, but can he do it for 4 games at least, maybe more, and can he do it against the best team in regular season history in the NHL? That is where I'm scared. And we've seen goalies like Ottinger have sick runs against Calgary, but sometimes goalie can have a sick run and you still don't win the series because the team is just better on the other side. And that's at the end of the day what's going to happen here. It's a no-brainer to me that the Boston Bruins will beat Florida. As much as it would be cool to see an upset there, I'm just not feeling it. Then we got Toronto and Tampa Bay. Now, Toronto, man, this team just has a curse in the playoffs. Tampa Bay has been that team that's just been dominating playoffs for years now. Going on 4, maybe 5 years in a row now. Like, they're just so good. The thing is, Tampa Bay has kind of fallen off towards the latter half of the season, and I don't know what it is, but for some reason I feel like that's going to continue into the playoffs. I think on paper, Toronto is a better team. I think Vasilevsky alone on Tampa can obviously win them a game, maybe 2. But in my opinion, I think Toronto has more firepower. If they don't have more, it's at least equal. And I think Toronto's defensive depth is just more than Tampa Bay. Victor Hedman has kind of struggled this year. And without McDonough, I just don't see them having the depth on defense that they have previous. I think they're running out of steam. I think the Toronto Maple Leafs finally get over that hump and they beat the Tampa Bay Lightning. Okay, next up, we got Carolina and the Islanders. I think this one's also going to be a really good series. All of these matchups are just insanely good. I think this one's also going to be just another good one. Carolina has kind of been that team that's been really good all season. They finished 2nd in the league. What I wonder is, without Svechnikov in the playoffs here, how are they going to play? Also, I feel like lately in the regular season, they've kind of been trending down a little bit. They haven't been playing as good as they could. When the New York Islanders squeaked into the playoffs as that number 1 wildcard team, and I just wonder how they're going to do. They're supposed to get Barzal back, but how healthy is he? He could still be a little bit hurt. It's really hard to say. I think I have so much faith in Sorokin alone to win them a couple games. And I also think this Islanders team just knows how to win. When they get to the playoffs, they haven't won the Cup, but they go far. They go on deep runs. They know how to go on deep runs. So I actually think this is going to be my second upset of the playoffs. And I'm picking the New York Islanders to beat the Carolina Hurricanes in the first round. Now we have what is probably one of my favorite matchups of this playoffs. We got the New Jersey Devils up against the New York Rangers. This is just 2 really fun teams to watch. New Jersey Devils have been so fun all season. Where it comes down to me is their lack of experience. They just have a lot of young players who haven't been in this situation. And I actually think that does play a factor in the playoffs. Like, you're not just going out and having fun anymore. It's not the regular season. You're not going out and just scoring a bunch of goals and having a good time. This is where it gets serious. And I actually think the experience from the Rangers are going to help them so much. The Rangers, in my opinion, have the defense. They have the goaltending to beat the New Jersey Devils. I think offensively they're quite even. But I don't count out the fact that the Rangers added in 2 Stanley Cup champions in Vladimir Tarasenko and Patrick Kane. These guys know how to win. They know how to go on deep runs. I am picking the Rangers in this, but I think it's going to be a hell of a good series. Okay, so now we get into the games here. I'm actually thinking this Boston-Florida game is going to go I'm torn between 5 or 6. I think I'm going to pick 6. I'm going to give Florida a couple games here. They're actually going to give Boston a little bit of a run for their money. Toronto and Tampa, I'm actually thinking 5. I think Toronto just comes in and actually kind of dominates Tampa, something that people aren't going to think is going to happen, but I think that's what's going to happen. The Rangers, or the Islanders, sorry, and Hurricanes, I think that's going 7, as well as the Rangers and New Jersey Devils. So we'll submit that. And now we're going on to the second round here, where we have in the West, the Colorado Avalanche and the Dallas Stars. 2 really good matchups. We're going to kind of bang these ones out a little bit faster than we did the first round. I still, for whatever reason, have so much faith in this Dallas Stars team. Like, I like Colorado. I think they might run out of steam a little bit here. I actually think Dallas Stars are going to beat the Colorado Avalanche. We don't pick games for this, but I think it's going to be a hell of a series. That could be a game 7. Or Winnipeg and Edmonton, 2 Canadian matchups, which I think is going to be really cool. I really like the fact we got 2 teams here from Canada matching up in the second round, but I'm going Edmonton, okay? I think Edmonton actually could potentially sweep Winnipeg. We don't have a sweep in the first round, but I think Edmonton could come in with the confidence of beating LA in 5 and just sweep Winnipeg in 4 games. Maybe it could be another 5-er, but I think it's going to be a quick one. I think Edmonton's going to make quick work of Winnipeg. My bad, Winnipeg fans. Head back over to the East. We got Boston and Toronto. This is going to be a hell of a series. I think this one's going to be a grueler. Toronto finally gets over that hump of the first round matchup, and they finally get through that first round just to play the best regular season team in NHL history. Like, I genuinely feel bad for them. But believe it or not, I think they're going to ride high from that win. I think they're going to beat Boston in the second round. I think they're going to knock the President's Trophy team out in the second round. A game 7-er, just a grueler. They're going to get back at them for all the times Toronto has lost game 7s, and they're going to move on to the Eastern Conference Finals. Then we got the Battle of New York here. We got the Rangers and the Islanders. I think just like the Edmonton and Winnipeg series, I think the Rangers are going to make quick work of the Islanders. I actually see the Rangers winning that, and I could see them winning it pretty quick in 5 games, like maybe 6 at the most, but I don't see the Islanders forcing game 7. So then we got the conference finals. We got Dallas Stars against Edmonton. I think this one's going to be a sick matchup. I don't want to talk about it too much because I don't want to change my mind. I think this one's kind of almost a 50-50. It'll be really tough. But I do see Edmonton winning that and going to the Stanley Cup Finals. I think this team just has the depth. I think they'll be going on a run. I think it'll be a really close series, 6 or 7 games. But I just think they're going to be riding high, and I think they're just going to go on a deep run here, and they're going to find themselves in the finals. Then we have Toronto in no man's land, a position they have never been in or at least not been in for a long, long time, and they're going to be facing the New York Rangers in the Eastern Conference Finals. I could see this one just being a bloodbath too. A lot of goals, just a lot going on here, and I'm going to pick the Rangers to go to the Stanley Cup Final. I kind of just have a lot of faith in this Rangers team. I think the depth is there. Their goaltending is there. I really love the veteranship that they added in Tarasenko and Kane. I think it's going to help them in the playoffs. They maybe didn't play like super stellar in the regular season, but in the playoffs when it matters, I think those 2 are just going to be on another level. I think it's going to help the Rangers get to the Stanley Cup Final. Then in the finals here, we have such a sick matchup between the New York Rangers and the Edmonton Oilers. This is going to be a high-scoring game 7-er where the Edmonton Oilers eventually win the Stanley Cup. And as a Canucks fan, it does kind of pain me a little bit, but as a Canadian, it's really cool. I think a Canadian team is going to finally win the Stanley Cup, and I think it's going to be the Edmonton Oilers in 7 against the Rangers. As far as goals, I think it's going to be a lot of goals here. I'm going like 46 goals. I think there's going to be a lot scored in this Game 7 series, and submit that. There we go. I got the Edmonton Oilers. So there you guys have it. That is my playoff brackets. Let me know down in the comments what you guys think. Also, let me know who you guys got. Again, I'm going to try to make a video where I react to your guys' picks because I think that's going to be really fun. But yeah, let me know down in the comments who you guys got in the finals, or you can even just tell me your whole bracket. I know not everyone's going to agree, but that's kind of the fun in this. You probably have a team you're cheering for. I genuinely don't. I don't have a team that I'm cheering for at all in these playoffs. I'm just watching because I like hockey. So I think that's going to be really fun. I'm not necessarily cheering for a team. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching as always. If you're new, it would mean a lot if you guys subscribed. Like the video if you enjoyed. I'll talk to you in the next one. Peace.